Hello everybody. It's time for the answers for daily dictation. This daily dictation was about a bicycle store in Toronto. We can also say Toronto, which is in Canada. And this is a very nice bicycle store. Their bikes are quite expensive and they try to manufacture their bikes in Canada. However, well, then the next sentence is the sentence that you needed to dictate. Now, daily dictation is a little tiny taste of DDM, daily dictation members. Keep studying daily dictation. And if you're ready to study hardcore, join us at DDM. I'll give you more information at the end of the lesson. So listen up. Listen one more time. If you didn't do the dictation, listen again, and then I'll give you the answers.
Parts that cannot be made in Canada are shipped in from abroad.
Parts that cannot be made in Canada are shipped in from abroad. Parts that cannot be made in Canada are shipped in from abroad. So the answer is not too bad. Most of you did very good, but parts that was tricky. Shipped in was very tricky for lots of people abroad. Now, this lady's pronunciation is a little strange. If you listen to the entire story, and we study that in DDM, sometimes she sounds American, sometimes very Canadian, and sometimes British. And here, she definitely sounded a bit British. I don't think she's British though, but anyway. Parts that. So we're talking about bicycle parts. Parts to a bicycle. Parts that. Now, we study there are 3 strong sounds, S, N, L, and 3 weak sounds, D, T, T, H. So if we have a strong sound, like the S, and it's next to weak sounds like the T and the TH, these sounds can be canceled or at least very weak. So parts that, the quicker we say it, parts that, parts that, parts that, parts that, parts that, parts that, parts that cannot, parts that cannot. So basically we just hear the TH, very tough. And cannot, Americans say cannot. She almost says cannot, not a little bit British, but parts that cannot be made in. So here we have a connection, made in, linking, made in Canada, are shipped. In from abroad? No. Are shipped in from abroad. This, you have to say this together. This is a phrasal verb. Shipped in, we have a connection. Shipped in means what? It actually means imported. From where? Abroad. Overseas. Other countries. Now, in America, this is an AW sound, which is like that. Abroad. Abroad. Her pronunciation sounds a little British. Abroad. A little bit more British, but I'll give you American. From abroad. From abroad. Of course, we have linking. From abroad. So, parts that cannot be made in Canada are shipped in from abroad. Parts that cannot be made in Canada are shipped in from abroad. It's not too difficult. We had one phrasal verb. Made, in this case, instead of made, we could say we're talking about parts. So another word, manufactured. Manufactured. Same thing. Parts that cannot be manufactured in Canada are imported from other countries. And if we talk about bicycle parts, what countries can we think of? Italy, France, Japan. I think those countries are very famous for their high quality bicycle parts. Shimano in Japan, Campagnolo, I don't know how to pronounce it, from Italy, Dura Ace? Where's Dura Ace? I want to say Dura Ace is Italy too. And what about France? I know France is famous, but I can't think of any parts. If you know about bicycle parts, tell us, where are the best bicycle parts from? Japan, France, or Italy? Or maybe your country, another country. Okay, so let's say it together. You ready? Now we're going to go slow. We'll say it 3 times. Very slow, then quicker, then normal. Okay? 1. Together. 3. Parts that cannot be made in Canada are shipped in from abroad. Parts that cannot be made in Canada are shipped in from abroad. Parts that cannot be made in Canada are shipped in from abroad. Listen again.
Parts that cannot be made in Canada are shipped in from abroad. Parts that cannot be made in Canada are shipped in from abroad.
So, could you hear it? Could you hear it perfectly? I hope so. So this is a great exercise to improve your listening. Daily dictation will definitely help you improve your listening. But if you're interested in going hardcore, then I highly recommend you join us at DDM, Daily Dictation Members. Our family is growing very slowly, but we're growing, and I want you to join. It's a self-study program. So you can study on your own time, when you're ready. 2 lessons every week. Every week there are 2 lessons. Daily dictation, 1 every week, every 2 weeks. But once again, DDM, 2 lessons every week. Lots of lessons. And it's a money-back guarantee. You can join the classes. If you don't like it, cancel, and I'll give you your money back. So don't worry about that. So click on the link, and I hope that you join us. And of course, we also have our podcast. Now, the podcast, you can go to our website. This is our website. The podcast is actually really important. But unless you have time, I don't want you to sit and study the podcast. It's like a radio show. I want you to use it as background noise. Noise in the background. When you're washing dishes, or when you're taking a walk, when you go to bed, you can turn on this podcast and listen to it. Not just once, but listen to it 2 or 3 times if you can. It will definitely help your listening comprehension, okay? The podcast is not really about speaking, it's more focused on listening. I want you to listen to it and get used to the English sounds. If you have an iPhone or an iPad or an iMac, then you can go to iTunes, to the podcast, and search for Let's Master English, and you'll find our podcast there. Of course, it's free. If you want the script, if you want the transcript to the podcast, then you need to join our Google Plus community. Our Google Plus community is Let's Master English. It's very easy to find. And we have a group of people who are transcribing the podcast. So you can join that group, and everybody can learn together. Okay? So we got the podcast, we got DDM, we've got E-Cubed, so many different things that I want you to participate in. Remember, mastering English is not a piece of cake. It's not super easy, but you can do it. You need to invest the time, and don't waste your time. Have a good time studying the English, and I hope that my lessons give you that good time. Okay, that's it. You guys have a great one, and good luck on the next Daily Dictation.